My son's wife cancelled my anniversary. I will not finance this circus. But the day my 50th wedding anniversary was cancelled, I was polishing my old brown shoes, the ones I wore the night I first danced with my wife, when my phone buzzed like a bad memory refusing to stay buried. "Baba," my son said, his voice tight and rehearsed, "there's been a change of plans." I knew that tone. It was the same one he used when he was 10 and had broken a neighbor's window but didn't want to say who did it. "What kind of change?" I asked, already feeling a hollow open in my chest. My daughter-in-law's voice cut in sharply, loud enough to be heard without the speaker on. "We are cancelling the anniversary party. I will not finance this circus." Circus. 50 years of marriage reduced to a circus act. For a moment I couldn't speak. My eyes drifted to the faded photograph on the wall, my wife and I, young and hopeful, standing outside a borrowed wedding hall, smiling as if the world belonged to us. We had no money then, just courage and calloused hands. "I never asked you to finance anything," I said quietly. "Well, someone has to pay," she snapped. "And frankly, it's embarrassing. Relatives, food, decorations, it's all unnecessary. At this age, what is there even to celebrate?" The call ended before I could answer. I sat there for a long time, shoes in my hands, wondering when respect had become optional. My wife, Amina, had passed away 3 years earlier. This anniversary wasn't a party for show, it was a promise I wanted to keep. I had told her on her last hospital night, holding her trembling fingers, that I would celebrate our 50 years even if I had to do it alone. I didn't cry. Men of my generation were trained to swallow pain like bitter medicine, but something inside me hardened that day. That evening I opened the old metal trunk beneath my bed, the one my children thought held nothing but dusty papers. Inside were documents I hadn't touched in years, land records, bank statements, investment certificates. When I retired from government service decades ago, I didn't waste my pension. I invested quietly. I bought land when it was cheap. I lived simply. I never told my children because I wanted them to stand on their own feet, not lean on my money like a crutch. Apparently, my silence had been mistaken for weakness. The next morning, I walked to a small community hall near the mosque where Amina and I used to volunteer. The caretaker recognized me instantly. "Chacha, it's been a long time," he said warmly. "I need the hall for Saturday evening," I replied, "just a small gathering." He smiled. "For you, it's already booked." I spent the next 2 days doing what I had done my entire life, handling things myself. I ordered simple food from a local caterer. I printed modest invitation cards. I called old friends, former colleagues, neighbors who still remembered Amina's kindness. I did not call my son. Saturday evening arrived quietly. I wore my pressed white shirt, the same brown shoes, and the watch Amina had given me on our 25th anniversary. As guests began to arrive, the hall filled with soft laughter and warm memories. Then, halfway through the evening, the doors opened. My son stood there, confusion written across his face. Behind him, his wife looked furious. "What is this?" she demanded loudly. "How is this happening?" I stepped forward calmly. "Welcome, you're just in time." She scoffed. "Who paid for all this?" I looked at my son, then back at her. "I did." She laughed, sharp and disbelieving. "With what money?" That was when I gestured to the microphone. "I wasn't going to say anything tonight," I began, my voice steady, "but it seems honesty is necessary." I told them everything, about the land, the savings, the investments, how I had helped pay my son's university fees without loans, how I had quietly covered hospital bills when his business failed, bills he thought his wife's brother had paid. My son's face drained of color. "I never told you," I continued, "because respect should not depend on wealth, but canceling my anniversary like it was charity, that crossed a line." The room was silent. "I did not raise my son to be ungrateful," I said, looking directly at him, "and I did not earn my life to be insulted in my old age." My daughter-in-law said nothing. For the first time, she had no words. I ended the speech by lifting Amina's photograph. This evening is not a circus, it's a tribute. People stood and applauded, not loudly but sincerely. After the guests left, my son approached me, eyes lowered. "Baba, I'm sorry," he whispered. I placed a hand on his shoulder. Apologies matter only when behavior changes. As for my daughter-in-law, she avoided my eyes. That night I returned home alone, but not broken. Because the greatest lesson I learned at 70 was this. You don't need to shout your worth, but when disrespected, you must stand tall enough to remind the world who you are.